Natyashastra, a study of the underlying unity of all arts. An article written by Dr. Priyaankaa Mathur for the Raga Reads and narrated by Deepa Joshi. The concept of aesthetic emotion, rasa, is an ancient concept that can be found as early as the period between 200 BCE and 200 CE in the works of drama and dance in Bharata's Natyashastra, bearing testimony to this fact. The theory of rasa provides an underlying unity among all arts, which provides a methodology both for the production and the analysis of art. Natyashastra finds its roots in psychology, which lays focus on culture, art, fine arts, and education in the context of the Indian cultural systems. We find textual references at the end of the treatise mentioning Bharata as the leader of the performance who is perfect in the discipline of knowledge and art. Although there are questions about who Bharata was and the time frame he lived in. The name Bharata is an acronym constituting 3 syllables: Bha for bhava or mood, Ra for raga or melodic framework, and Ta for tala or rhythm. Some Western scholars hold an argument that Natyashastra is not a work of single author or even a group of authors or a school of thought. They believe that its different chapters were written by different authors over a period of time. While according to the eminent Indian scholar Professor Kapila Vatsyayan, the close reading of the Natyashastra reflects the unity of purpose and that the treatise is a product of a single integrated vision, perhaps of a single author. Moreover, Natyashastra is believed to have proceeded before the Valmiki Ramayana. In the Sundar and Yuddha Khandas, Valmiki has shown a distinct musical awareness wherein he has used Bharata Muni's terminology for many aspects of Indian classical music of today, which were mentioned then in the Natyashastra. The Natyashastra begins with a salutation to Pitamaha Brahma and Maheshwara, Shiva, and attributes all that is to follow in the Shastra of Natyashastra to Brahma, which originated as the 5th Veda, the Natya Veda. Bharata quotes Brahma saying to him, "O the sinless one, you with your 100 sons will have to put the Natya Veda to use." In the Natyashastra, the mode of presentation is a dialogue between Bharata and the sages, which unfolds the origin, theory, and technique of drama and theatre with all its components of speech, word, body language, gestures, costumes, decor, and the inner states and temperaments. The text, which now contains 6,000 shlokas, is believed to be based upon the Natya Veda, which contained 36,000 shlokas, which were transmitted through the oral tradition. Bharata leaves deep influence on the subsequent Sanskrit critics like Abhinav Gupta, Manmohan, or Vishwanath in Indian aesthetics. Over centuries, many commentaries have been done on the treatise, while the most authoritative commentary on Natyashastra has been the Abhinava Bharati by Abhinava Gupta. Bharata occupies a supreme place for being the master developer of categories for all the arts, particularly drama, dance, poetry, and music, with uncanny precision in evolving the system of correspondence between the material, physical, psychical, ethical, and even spiritual. According to Bharata, the arts provide both pleasure and education and are a vehicle of beauty, duty, and conduct. Natyashastra is a depiction and communication of emotions of the complete activities of life, including knowledge, craft, art, lore, fine art, design, emotion, and acts of life. Bharata says that the entire nature of human beings as connected with the experience of happiness or misery presented through the process of histrionics, abhinaya, which is rendered by the physical and emotional form of acting called as Natya. Although Bharata speaks in the context of drama, which is achieved through the refinement of the senses, sense of perception, particularly the eye and the ear, it lays to the foundation of a theory which is not restricted to a particular art. Chapter 6 and 7 of Natyashastra elaborate on rasa and sthai bhava, which have captured the imagination of many Western and Indian theoreticians as well as the practitioners alike for centuries. Bharata defines Rasa Sutra as Vibhavanubhavaha, Vyabhichari, Samyogat, Rasanishpati. Bharata explains the abstraction of life into primary moods, sentiments, and emotive states that are basic and universal to humans, which is expressed in variety of ways in an infinite variety of time, space, body language, modes of speech, gesticulations, costumes, wherein the emotions of love, laughter, jealousy, fear, and wonder are nothing but universal. These universal emotions constitute the core themes which have determinants and stimulants, vibhava and anubhavas. Through the interpretation of particular rasas and sthai bhavas, they come together. Samyoga and the state of rasa nishpati, that is, an aesthetic relish or an experience, is evoked or created. Bharata defines rasa as what is aesthetically relished, which is similar to the flavor of a dish that includes all necessary ingredients in the proper proportion of different spices, vyanjana, leafy vegetables, aushadhi, and articles of food, dravya, together produce flavor and a taste. Similarly, in the arts, when different emotional states come together, an aesthetic flavor is produced which is relished or experienced, rasanubhuti, by the knowledgeable contemplator or the viewer. Bharata observes 8 rasas, namely Shringara, erotic, Hasya, comic, Karuna, pathetic, Raudra, furious, Veera, heroic, Bhayanaka, horrifying, Vibhatsya, disgusting, and Adbhuta, wondrous. These 8 rasas are neither quantitative nor qualitative, but they suggest that they are the various colorings of one's experiences. In the last chapter of Natyashastra, Bharata alone conducts himself as the leader of a performance by acting in many roles and playing many instruments and adorning many accessories. He denotes Bharata as a term for a class of ballad singers who were perhaps the precursors of drama and theatre, while the Paripalavas may have been the precursors of the actors. Those called Bharatas were emphasized on taking many roles and to be the vehicles of presenting and evoking rasa, sentiment, sthai bhava, dominant emotive states, and vyabhichari bhava, transitory or transferable stages. Bharata shows a deep understanding of the intrinsic mutuality of senses, body, mind, intellect, and brain, wherein the inner states of the consciousness finds expressions at many levels. Diverse configurations of all these emerge as distinct states of being or commonly known as the emotional states, which can be identified. Since he believed that the total of human states of being constitutes the content of art. Bharata states 8 sthai bhavas, static emotions, 8 sthai bhavas, responsive emotions, and 33 sanchari or vyabhichari bhavas, transitory emotions. These 8 static emotions, in conjunction with the associated group of sanchari and sattvika bhavas, may evoke corresponding rasas as follows. Rati, love, evokes Shringara, rasa, Hasya, rasa, Shoka rasa, Karuna rasa, Krodha rasa, Raudra rasa, Utsaha, Veera rasa, Bhayanaka rasa, Jugupsa rasa, Vismaya, Nadbhuta rasa. The ninth rasa, Shanta rasa, was added later on by Abhinavagupta, while its absence in Bharata's Natyashastra is a question of debate and discussion. While the rasa synthesis involves the dependency and co-production of the determinants, consequence and transitory mental states. The Shantarasa is a state of ultimate peace and tranquility, a state of perfection of mind and absolute bliss and peace, which is free from either pleasure or pain and has no dependency. Natyashastra provides an insight into the psychology of aesthetic reception and has been acknowledged for the scientific exposition of Rasa Theory, making a distinctive contribution in the form of Natya Rasas and compendium based on human nature and experience. A compendium gives an account of everything together, including the sentiments, rasas, bhava, sthai bhava, vyabhichari bhava, sattvic bhava, along with four kinds of abhinaya, histrionic representation, the dharma, success of natya, musical notes, instruments, songs, the size and shape of the theatre in detail, which in total constitute a theoretical performance. The theory of rasa, enunciated by Bharata, has stimulated both creativity and critical discourse in Indian arts for nearly 2000 years. The text of Natyashastra is as relevant to literature, poetry, and drama as it is to architecture, sculpture, painting, music, and dance. It is a comprehensive treatment of artistic expression, aesthetic experience communication, content, and form that merges from an integral vision that acts as an umbrella for all Indian arts. The treatise primarily deals with stagecraft and covers every aspect ranging from stage design, music, dance, makeup, and its influence on music, Indian classical, and literature as well. Chapter 4 of Natya Shastra, known as the Tandava Lakshanam, deals with the cadence of movements called karans and longer sequences called angarahas, while in chapters 8, 9, and 10, Bharata mentions the rules of Angika Abhinaya. He explains that drama spectators in the right frame of mind taste the permanent mental conditions by the suggested representations and enactment of emotional states carried out by speech, physical gestures, movements, the physical acting to obtain pleasure and satisfaction. The treatise deals with the varied aspects of drama, including sections on dance and music, particularly instrumental music, including tuning, scales, modal patterns and functions, instrument types, performance and techniques, and accompaniment styles. Natya Shastra is a very important treatise to study the history of Indian classical music because it is the only text which gives such detail about music of then era. Chapters 3 and 4 of Natya Shastra mentions the technical terms of music and musical structures along with their meanings. It elaborates on the components of sound, musical instruments, structure, compositions prevalent then. The treatise mentions several musical instruments, types, Tatvadya, Sushirvadya, Ganavadya, Avanadavadya, and the way that they should be played. Bharata speaks of the music played in dramas and mentions Dhruvagana, which were the songs with which the plays were ornamented. He describes a music system based on modes and the ancient heptatonic scales of Shadja, Grama, and Madhya Grama, and the practice of creating a scale harmonies based on them, which was much in vogue then. We find references of 22 microtonal intervals. The term raga is first found in Natya Shastra, which Bharata mentions not as a scale but a tonal color which colors and fills the heart and mind of the listener. Natya Shastra makes several references to the seven notes, Saptaswaras, naming them by same names used even today. Although Bharata described rasa in the context of drama, he makes a bold claim that there is no art or science, no craft or skill falling outside the purview of drama and successfully demonstrates it in his voluminous treatment of the subject in Natya Shastra. The Rasa Theory was initially propounded as an aesthetic element of Natya and eventually applied to Kavya and other fine arts such as Alekhya, Sangeeta, Nritya, Murti Shilpa, and Vastu Shilpa. The underlying unity of all of these forms is divine worship. According to Bharata, Rasa is a unique concept of delight or joy of self revelation through awareness of higher self or cosmic spirit of Anand, aesthetic bliss or ecstasy. The Rasa theory of Natyashastra states that bliss is intrinsic that manifests through spiritual and personally subjective means. Following the same, the Rasa theory, as conceived by the Hindu aestheticians and practiced by the artist, has two aspects. The first is the evoked state, in which transcendental or spiritual bliss is experienced. The second is the sentiments, the moods, the permanent and transitory states, which were the object of presentation. The second provided the content of art, while the first was the ultimate objective. The configuration of various moods, as in transitory states, involuntary states, and dominant states, which are 8 or 9 states of being, can be understood in the light of spiritual beliefs. Natyashastra exhibits a familiarity with the notions of space instrument, shape, and form, especially in chapters dealing with construction and measurement of principal types of theatres. It further describes an acute sense of distance, area, shape, direction, tempo, and in algebraic proportions. These principles are also evident in the sound intervals, microtones, tones, and also meters and prosody. Natyashastra enables the study of chronological developments in the field of drama, arts, poetry, music, and dance, but also disciplines such as medicine, mathematics, linguistics, prosody, and architecture. Natyashastra is an ocean and certainly a confluence which reveals that in each case, the particular Shastra, the principal genre, considered the role of the other art. Like in drama, comprises architecture, dance, music, poetry, and painting, while Vastu comprises sculpture, painting, and dance. Sangeeta, music, considers psychological systems of poetry and dance. The technique of Indian arts is directly conditioned with the rasa states which can be evoked. These principles are evident in the roles of proportion in architecture, in the detailed formulations of the principles of tala and bhanga of Indian sculpture. We find these principles in the relative disposition of proportion of color and perspective in paintings, and in the patterns of division and combination of the movements of major limbs and minor limbs in dance, and the use of shruti and swara in the given mode to create a particular mood in Indian classical music. The fine arts are supposed to be best mediums to evoke rasa, experience, that is, the emotional expression, the creation of beauty, and attainment of truth. Therefore, there is a lot of similarities in their presentation, since one element of rasa is common in all the arts, which has a unique goal of salvation. Just as in dance and drama, the scenic intricacies are expressed through abhinaya, the same is depicted through color and space in paintings, since the basic elements of them all remain the same, namely ratio, harmony, and oneness, which all lead to ultimate pleasure or the supreme experience of absolute bliss, Brahmananda, which gave rise to the ancient theory of rasa, which is both a theory of transcendental experience and the system of technique. The rasa experience is something mysterious and metaphysical and absolute, which can neither be created nor destroyed, but can be realized in the presence of the work of art by the audience or the spectator. Precisely, love is a reality experienced by the lover, and truth is the reality experienced by a philosopher, so beauty is the reality experienced by the artist, and these are the faces of the absolute. This is an experience which the artist can communicate through the work of art, be it any form. It is equally manifested irrespective of the themes, be it in the little and great, the animate and the inanimate, or even the good and the evil. Thus, all fine arts convey ideas, expressions of feelings and emotions, imagination and imitation, according to the ability of the artist by conveying them his language through his special tools and techniques, with variations and limitations of scope according to the form of art. There is an intimate correlation between all the fine arts as they are interrelated in themes, content, expression of feelings, emotions, skillfulness, and control. Like in Indian classical music, a distinct atmosphere or a tonal structure of a raga imparts a particular state of feeling, such as the ragas have the power of producing certain mental effects, and each is supposed to have an emotional significance, which is the ethos of the raga. Thus, raga may be said to stand for the language of the soul expressing itself variously under the pangs of separation which the Nayika experiences in a bandish depicting Karuna Rasa or Vipralam Shringara, or the storm of passion Sambhog Shringara Rasa. These emotions can be successfully depicted in all fine arts. Thus, from the paintings of Ajanta caves to the famous sculptures of Khajuraho and Konark, or the amazing genius of the Taj, we find that all arts are interrelated with the joining factor of rasa. Dear friends, we hope you enjoyed listening to this article based on rasa written by Dr. Priyaankaa Mathur. Thank you so much for joining us.